Welcome to REBsessions. Today we're going to be reacting to B.B. King's How Blue Can You Get?
Baby, and you are jealous when we're apart. I say you're evil. You're so evil when I'm with you, baby, and you are jealous when we're apart. How blue can you get, baby? But you said I went in Cadillac. I bought you a $10 dinner, and you said thanks for the snack. Let you live in my penthouse. You said it was just a shack. I gave you 7 children, and now you want to give them back.
Okay, so I love this, and the inmates just make it all the better. Hilarious. And it's a perfect example of one of the things that makes the blues so worth listening to. And it's those little smile lines in there. Usually it's like a twist to the sad story. But it just goes to show you that the blues doesn't have to be and isn't even remotely always sad. And that opening guitar solo. So I was talking to a friend about this who offered to help me do research on this topic. And she described that intro solo as mouth-watering, which is perfect. And then she mentioned that she didn't even really want the singing part of the song to start because it was like BB was like teasing and stretching and insisting on dragging it out until you're the one to give in, basically. And I kind of gotta agree. I'm just gonna call it an amuse-bouche. Okay, so a few things. Downhearted, as the song was originally called, was initially recorded by Johnny Moore's Three Blazers, and it was written by a jazz critic and his wife, Leonard and Jane Feather. And the way that it was done originally was very characteristic of West Coast blues in that it's very piano-driven, jazzy guitar, and silky smooth vocals. And that is opposed to other styles of blues, like, for instance, Delta blues, which came from the Mississippi Delta area, which is harmonica and guitar dominated, especially slide guitar. And despite not actually having written this song, B.B. King really made it his own. So much so that it became a staple in his shows. He kept it in there for years and years and years and years. So let's talk a little bit about B.B.'s playing. I feel like I could do a whole separate video on this, actually. There's an amazing article that I found that talked about this, along with an interview that he did with Johnny Winter. So you can check that out in the links below. Let's just hit a few points. He's very famous for his butterfly vibrato, which is a floating vibrato. And basically, instead of clamping his hand around the guitar or using his thumb as an anchor like you normally would when playing vibrato, he puts all the weight on whatever finger he's using to apply the vibrato. And if you've ever done that, you know it's hard enough to just do with your index finger and how much strength in your fingers that you need to have to do that. And there was other people that did this. I mean, Eric Clapton did, but B.B. King was different in that it didn't matter which finger he was using to do vibrato with. He applied that same technique regardless. And speaking of vibrato, I can see how him growing up in Mississippi and the influence of the style of blues, Delta blues, that was there had an effect on the kind of vibrato that he played. Because the way that it sounds actually kind of mimics a slide guitar in some ways. But the most noteworthy thing I think about B.B. King's playing is how conversational it is. And you can see it in his face when he plays. I mean, he's got his mouth working, but there's a definite connection there between playing expressively and the things that a person does when they speak. Varying the volume, varying the pitch, all those little nuances of the way that a person speaks that make what they say impactful and unique specifically to that person. So the next thing that I wanted to go over was 12-bar blues, and basically just wanted to demonstrate the foundation for this and millions of other blues and rock songs, because once you learn about this, once you hear this, you're gonna realize how many songs are based off of this pattern, which is very helpful in learning guitar and also very fun to look for. So here's just a basic 12-bar blues. So that was it in just skeleton mode, basically, with a little like blues shuffle feel to it. And so that's the basis, and then you can build on it and get things like this. different keys. And it leads to things like what I played in the intro, or and more. Okay, sorry, moving on. And lastly, this song is a great example of the way that music, and in this case especially blues music, draws people together and unites. The song is about being in a relationship where your best is never good enough, the person you're trying to please is never satisfied. Name all the songs that are about that. Even with all your best efforts to make them happy. That's something that everyone can relate to. So that, along with many other sentiments that are expressed in the blues, I like to think of as a uniting force in an exceptionally divided world.